crisis unfolding in Puerto Rico. Millions without food, water, fuel.
Yeah, their contact with the rest of the world is limited, but it is getting better tonight. That's the good news. Thanks for joining us here on Nightside. I'm Katie McCall.
I'm Carolina Lee. Now begins the process of getting the island the help that it needs.
The U.S. Navy delivered supplies to the main airport in San Juan, Puerto Rico today. The plane was loaded with water and food. Puerto Rico's governor says those supplies and more will be flown by helicopter to different parts of the island since so many roads there are unreliable.
While military flights arrive outside, there's a desperate situation going on inside San Juan's airport. More than 1,000 people have been there for days without AC, stranded after Hurricane Maria knocked out power and radar systems. One man waiting with his family for a flight told USA Today, quote, "It's like the end of the world." Commercial flights have been taking off again little by little, but hundreds are still waiting in line in the heat.
Another huge problem on the northwest corner of the island, this 90-year-old dam, which is in danger of breaching. Engineers aren't sure it will hold after Maria dropped more than 15 inches of rain here. 70,000 people could be affected by flash flooding. The mayor of Isabela says a dam failure would be catastrophic for his city and other towns that rely on it for drinking water.
After Harvey and Irma, our disaster resources are already working overtime, and there are some concerns Puerto Rico won't get the attention it needs. The National Guard is on the ground and FEMA is starting to respond. But does the island, a commonwealth of the U.S., get the same treatment as Florida or any other state after a natural disaster? Nightside reporter Mark Rivera is here to break down who is responsible for Puerto Rico's recovery.
Yeah, Carolina, so far $1 billion has been earmarked for recovery, but 6 days later, it's not apparent yet. Here's Puerto Rico's governor. Take a listen.
The quantity of the aid that comes to Puerto Rico needs to be consistent with the aid that would be provided anywhere else in the United States.
Yeah, and they deserve it. Puerto Rico first became a U.S. responsibility after the Spanish-American War when Spain was forced to give it up. That was back in 1898. That means the island has been important to the U.S. and under its control for more than 120 years. Puerto Ricans were granted U.S. citizenship in 1917. That means that Puerto Ricans have the same protections under the law and can vote for president, just like you and me, if they live on the U.S. mainland, like here in Florida or any other state. And the Stafford Act of 1988 makes it clear. When it comes to natural disasters, the federal government has a responsibility to help states and any place emergency exists for which the primary responsibility for response rests with the United States, any place the U.S. exercises exclusive or preeminent authority. That's Puerto Rico in a nutshell. There's a local government, but just like in a state, it's subordinate to the laws and in many ways dependent on resources from the federal government. The issues with the speed of response may be a logistical one, and you're looking at the reason why here. 85% of the power lines have been knocked out. They're saying months, or in the case of my grandparents who live in Yabucoa, a year to restore power. Imagine if Puerto Rico was connected to Florida by land, though. Linemen could stage, so could emergency responders all along the coast. 6 days ago, that was an impossibility, and FEMA resources are already stretched thin. Mark Rivera, 10 News.